Um, I guess the one thing is, so far, what I have noticed is there are a lot of groups of friends already established. Some people all meet together at the same time at one particular cultural center, and so everybody is at like a big group. And so maybe if you're not part of that big group, you feel a little bit weird to come in. And you don't want to insert yourself into a conversation or into a group of people that you don't really know. And so yeah, that's kind of one of the bigger things I've seen, is that a lot of friend groups are already established, or this is an established meeting place for people. And so it feels strange as a new student, not having any friends, or just sort of breaking the barrier with certain people, that it would feel a bit intimidating to come in.
For me, in my personal experience, the reason why I didn't go to the cultural resource centers was because I didn't really know anybody. So it was hard for me to just like go in, because I think like other people have said, there's already like groups established, and like if you're shy, it's hard to just jump into a conversation.
Also, like the multicultural center, when I was working, it was just the multicultural center and La Casa Latina, and I was like, okay, I don't really follow into these groups of people, so I'm not going to enter the center because it's catered to them.
A lot of students may not know this existed. I know for me, personally, I know the La Casa Latina existed a few years, and I didn't even go to it up until 2 years ago. Especially here, there are commuter schools, specifically at PSU, aren't here as frequently, so they may not know. They just go to school and they leave.
I think as a commuter student, like my first year of college was very like a culture shock, and like very, for me, like made me feel very anxious, and so I would come to like PSU and then I would run home.
I know I've heard that there's just not enough space sometimes. It's just like I've heard that sometimes it can be just a little bit loud, but it's also, we have a lot of fun in the center, but just because it's like people that we know and people that gather together, like just coming together. And I think if you're really looking for a quiet space, the centers might not be the right place. But
the fear of not going into a center is a feeling that we have, that I don't know enough about this center. I don't want to say the wrong words. I don't want to get into trouble. I'm just gonna stay out. And I'm not necessarily against those sorts of centers, but I don't just feel included. I don't want conflict.
In the beginning, coming from high school to college, like I wasn't aware of like social justice terms, and I think that really prevented me from adding like my opinion and just like jumping into conversations, just because I was worried that like what I was saying would be taken like out of context.
Some people won't that I've seen won't feel confident enough to talk, because they feel that it's a sensitive place where they don't want to trigger, or they don't want to target, they don't want to say an assumption, they don't want to use a stereotype that is known. They're afraid to speak or to share what they have, because if they don't have the enough knowledge, they would just stay quiet.
And I remember that there were some instances where I felt like if I spoke, I felt like if I said the wrong thing, I would immediately get attacked for it, instead of somebody saying, oh no, that's not exactly how it is, let me educate you further.
I feel that people are more concerned with not with what I have to say, but how I say it. What words are you using?
Yeah, I'm sort of the opposite. Like, I think I have a lot of times like not participated in a conversation about social justice, just because I don't really like to jump into a conversation or discussion if like I really don't have an understanding of it.
I have, definitely, even like in my own culture, like in my Latino culture, Hispanic culture, like I wasn't necessarily like raised upon like traditions that maybe people that come from Mexico do and have, and then I see them in La Casa around, and they're saying it, they're talking about it. So I've definitely felt that way, just in my own culture.
I don't have the right English to answer, or I don't have the right knowledge to answer. So most of the times I would just, although I would have some ideas and a lot of backgrounds about some stuff, but I would just stand and be quiet.
I think the woke thing is like something new, and a lot of people don't know what woke is. That doesn't mean that you can't just come into the center. Like, no, like you're still welcome just because like you're not woke, you're not aware of what social justice is. Like that shouldn't stop you from like having a good time, meeting new people, studying, and doing anything that you want to.
Yeah, you're not born woke, and it's something that you work towards, and it's not like, oh, I learned this thing and I'm woke now. It's just it's a daily thing that you have to work on, and everyone is learning. Like, I think that a lot of the times people, they learn a lot of things and then they think like, I know what's best, and it comes off like judgy for newcomers. But I have learned that like you just need to jump in, because that's like how I met all of my friends, and that's how I found community, is just like talking to people and like finding that you have things in common, and that like we're all just looking for community.
Oh, you know how to do this too? Am I the only one that?
Wait, I think you're still recording. Yeah, you're still recording.